Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Pele, Josh Pele, Mario Heron. Again, thank you for joining us live. I know last week I jumped on all you guys for being stupid because we're on every Tuesday and Thursday. Well, today it's a Monday. 100% my fault. I completely crossed the line. I called every one of you out for not being very smart. But again, I'm the one that messed this up. So I hope you caught this, that this is a broadcast right here on YouTube. Again, Bolt City Podcast through the Odyssey app if you're listening that way. We appreciate that as well. Don't forget to give the thumbs up, again, subscribe, everything that goes on. But here we are, Charger off season, NFL off season, always exciting. And Josh, I'll let you introduce our guest today.
Yeah, so this is a guy that I've known for a while, and we try to get him on for a while, but he's extremely busy. He's a current NFL player, so he has a crazy schedule. JC Hassenauer joins the show, former teammate of mine at Alabama. And JC, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were on the field for the 2nd and 26 play, correct?
I was, yep. That was my last play of my college football career.
What's today's date?
Oh,
I don't know. It's February. Let me see. February
26th
or 26th.
26th. 2nd and 26, dude. It's divine intervention.
There
We
you
usually
go.
do this show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it worked out today for it to be 2/26. JC, thank you so much for joining the show, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Glad I could be on here and help you guys out. Love the podcast, man.
Thanks, man. So I'll kick it off with the first question. You brought up the 2nd and 20. I brought up the 2nd and 26 play. What was it like being on the field for one of the greatest plays in college football history?
Dude, honestly, it was pretty surreal. And I get this question a lot. So, what was honestly wild to me was I just thought it was a regular play. You know what I mean? After we scored, I ran down to celebrate, but then in the back of my head, I was like, all right, yeah, we're getting ready for field goal. And then I saw, everyone kind of rushing off the sidelines, and I'm like, oh shoot, we just won the national championship game. Dude, honestly, it was crazy. Having that be my last play of college football was just phenomenal. I don't think I could go out any better way. It was surreal.
hold on. I got Mario. I know you want to jump in, but I got to follow up on this one just because I want to set it up for people who aren't diehard Alabama fans like Josh and I are. Okay, so you're playing the Georgia Bulldogs national championship game. The 2nd and 26 play, of course, is Tua hitting Devontae Smith for the game-winning touchdown that wins the national championship. I want to ask about the play before, where Tua takes the sack and where everyone's like, "Oh my God!" I mean, I was doing, "Oh my God." What was going on when after the sack and your minds of, because Georgia had scored first in overtime? What was going through your guys' minds? Is, oh no, he just took a sack. Now we're at a field goal range.
Yeah, honestly, not too much was going through my mind, to be honest. I feel like what Alabama does a really good job of is training us to have that next play mentality. That's one of Saban's biggest quotes, is every play has a history and story of its own. So although in the back of our heads, I was kind of like, oh shoot, we just had, what was it, 2nd and 26 or whatever, but I knew we still had a couple more downs, and I was just focused on the next play. And I mean, that's honest too. That's just how I feel. That's honestly how I treat every single play. I try to, just focus on taking it one play at a time. And regardless of the outcome of the play, I just try to play level headed. Because for me, if I get too high in the game, or if I get too low, that's going to affect my play. So I like to just kind of keep an even keel and just go about it like that.
Well, also, I just want to say thank you, JC, because that was the best gambling throw I've ever had in my life. I meant to put $50 on you guys to win that game, and I added a 0, and I had 501 in the bank account. So it was a huge, huge sweat that whole game. So thank you for that. Roll Tide, forever. I kind of have been a fan for that moment. But your time at Bama, you're a 2-time champion there, right? So you had 15 and 17.
Correct. Yep.
So obviously Bama's this powerhouse, and Saban just called it quits this past year. And we've talked to Josh a lot about some of his Bama stories. But what does make Bama so special? What makes that culture just a constant victory in every single aspect? And how did it kind of prepare you for the next level?
For sure. I think the biggest thing was how Coach Saban motivates players. Because he's able to do it in a way that really gets under your skin. He demands the best out of you, and I think what also is the major factor is the competition level, because every single year They're bringing in recruits that are bigger, stronger, faster, and younger than you. So the competition, if you get hurt in a practice or if you get hurt in a game, you may never get your job back. And honestly, that's how I got my opportunity. Was someone got hurt and I was able to step up and start playing. But had that person not gotten hurt, then, who knows if I'd even still be playing. So honestly, just the way that Saban can talk to you, the way that he kind of, I don't want to say like brainwashes you, but the way he can literally transition your thinking, transition your style of play, your like how you prep, literally every aspect of your football life and personal life, he's able to affect. Like, I think he's hands down the greatest coach I've ever been a part of, the greatest coach that I've ever even heard other people speak of. So yeah, for sure, the way that he can motivate you, but also definitely the competition, because in every day, like, there was no better feeling going into a game knowing that you just practiced every single day against the best D line that you'll ever see. You know what I mean? Like, like that Bama defense was something else. So we had so much confidence going into each game because we knew that the players we were going to play on Saturday were nothing like the players that we played Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, so JC, I've known you since 2015. I remember a story of you were backup to Ryan Kelly in 2015. You're young. You're the number one center out of high school, out of Minnesota, Midwest boy. So is Mario, by the way.
Represent.
Go.
And
Yes,
represented. So your whole thing was you were really smart, and I'm sure you're still the same player, very smart player. And you were giving out hand signals of the plays, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was standing next to you. I remember you looked at me and you're like, "Dude, can you get out of my way?" And I was like, "Yeah, you got it." But me and you became friends, and you played with a really smart player in Ben Roethlisberger. I read an article about how you and Big Ben had a special kind of relationship. Can you talk about that?
For sure. So the coolest part of playing with someone like him, dude, he's a gold jacket Hall of Famer guy, 18-year, 17-year vet, whatever it was. But you just don't get that on any other team. It's a your relationship with other players is it's like, on a personal level, and you guys are cool and all. But when you got a guy like him in the room and in the building, it's the best combination, because he's almost like a coach because he knows so much. He's very informative, but he's also obviously one of your teammates, so he's able to relate to you and talk to you. So dude, it was just so cool being able to play with him. And honestly, my best memory with Ben was I was fortunate enough. I was his center for the last home game at Heinz Field that he played in. And dude, what the coolest part, so it was a Monday night game against the Browns. We were beating them by 2 or 3 scores. Like, it was enough for fans to start, leaving. Not a single fan left. This was Monday night after midnight. People got work the next day. The entire crowd was packed in there because they knew it was Ben's last game. And after the game, we took our kneel down. The place went nuts. And Ben, walked around the whole stadium, and everyone was there cheering. So I think that just goes to show the impact he had, not only on the Steelers, but also just in the city of Pittsburgh.
What's it like making that transition from college to the NFL? I mean, we hear all the time that, from guys, I tell you who kind of ruined it was Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame tight end. And he was saying, you leave college, and college is different because, you're invested, you're making that jump from high school, you're trying to prove yourself to get to the NFL. But he goes, when you look around the locker room, sometimes it doesn't mean the same to everybody. And for you, as you said, playing with Saban, and how, team matters and that scoreboard matters, that Tony Gonzalez a couple years ago said, not everyone in that locker room is about the scoreboard. The guys are more concerned about the money. The transition from you trying to earn a spot on an NFL roster to looking around and saying, does everybody have the same goals? Is it a lot different than, let's say, a college locker room?
Yeah, no, fortunately for me, and Josh can attest to this too, like, when we're at Alabama, like, it's very business-like. So it's not your typical college program where, you can kind of go away with a bad day or bad practice. Like I said, there's so much competition there that if you slip up, someone else is replacing you. And it's the exact same in the NFL. If you have a bad practice, if you have a bad game, someone else is replacing you. What's funny is in the NFL, every Tuesdays are like off days. You still go in and do your workout and everything like that. But every Tuesday they bring in guys to do tryouts. And if you had a bad game, you might see someone in your position working out. And very, very similar in college. I remember if someone had a bad game, they would start practicing someone else, because honestly, competition brings the best out of you. So to answer your question about, the differences between college and NFL, there wasn't a whole lot for me, just because how Saban ran his program, from the competition side and kind of as the business side too. Like, obviously people weren't getting paid and didn't have these big contracts. So there wasn't that much politics involved. But there was still just other factors that Saban kind of related to NFL. But regarding the whole money thing and competition in the pros, I've been fortunate enough. I've seen it a little bit, where people are kind of out for their own bag. And I understand it to a degree, like if you're a top notch guy, like, yeah, you got to get your money, get it while you're healthy, all that stuff. But not too much. I think a lot of it still is relied on competition and people just trying to be the best. Like as long as everyone's working to be the best, then the team will be good. I mean, it's when you get the cancers in the room, the people that, just kind of dragging, they're relying on that big deal, big contract to keep them on the team. That's when you start to see some turmoil in a room and people that could be, a little bit cancerous to the goals of the team.
Now, we have the combine starting up this week. You went undrafted and you still made it in the NFL. What would be some lessons or some insight you would give to a guy that's at the combine right now, that's kind of going through a summer process like you went through? What would be some advice you would give him? And how brutal kind of is that draft process? I imagine it's got to be really, really stressful, because I would hate it.
Yeah, it's stressful, it's invasive, but honestly, if my only piece of advice I can think of off the top of my head right now would just be to take it one day at a time. Even if you have to break up to one meeting at a time, I remember I was getting phone calls by a couple of coaches. I was doing some workouts, and part of the workout, they take you through a film study, and they try to see how much you know and how much you can recall from their install. And it gets intense. And there's a lot of pressure because, you spent your whole life trying to make it. And these next 2 or 3 months, it really just comes down to showing people that you can, that you're worthy and that you can play in the NFL. So honestly, just take it one day at a time. Just like kind of Coach Saban, you say one play at a time. But if you take it one day at a time and just kind of focus on what you can control, I think that would calm the nerves of these younger guys down a lot, because like you said, this is a very stressful time, even for me as a free agent, not knowing exactly where I'm going to be playing next year. And I got a family to provide for and everything. So for me, I just try to take it one day at a time. I try to control what I can, which is, training right now, getting back from my surgery and getting my body strong, getting my body recovered, taking care of my family, taking care of my health. So just try to control those little things. And like I said, just one day at a time.
All right, JC, I got a 2-part question. First off, you just talked about it right now, your triceps injury. Your season was cut short last year. So my first question is, how are you recovering? And then my second question, I've been dying to ask you this, is what are the similarities between Saban and Tomlin? You're one of the few people that can answer that question.
Yeah. All right. So first, triceps 100%. I'm great. I'm back.
Good.
My strength is pretty much the exact same arm to arm. In rehab, they look for a lot of comparables, and the return to play is roughly 80% of symmetry between arms for this type of injury. And I was 80% months ago. So I've been good. The timing of the injury kind of sucked just because, like you said, I got my season taken away. Had this injury occurred earlier, maybe I could have returned. But it is what it is. And, I'm just thankful to be healthy now and recovered and ready to go for next year. Regarding your question about Tomlin. So Tomlin is very similar to Saban. I love him. I think he's a great coach. And honestly, his messaging is very similar to Saban. It's just a little bit more practical because he's a little bit younger. He's a little bit, he can relate a little bit better, I feel like, to our age. And I think he's a little bit more personable as well. He really makes an effort to get to know your family and that type of thing. And that's no knock on Saban, just because we're younger players. Most of us don't have families, don't have significant others at the time. So for Saban, it's a little bit harder to do that. But dude, Tomlin is very similar, and it's hilarious. If you guys ever look at his Instagram page, he posts Tomlinisms. That's what he calls it. He calls it Tomlinisms, or one-word sayings, or phrases, and they're, again, used to motivate players. And he does it in a way to get under your skin. One of the first things that comes to mind is he calls players JV or varsity. And that's one phrase that I feel like really ticks off a lot of players, because we all know what JV and varsity means. You know what I mean? Like, if you get called JV, most of the guys on that team never even been on JV. So if we're getting called a JV player, like that's just like the worst thing that you could say. But I highly recommend you guys check out his page, and he's done a great job in the past year of posting some of his Tomlinisms, as he calls it. And I think, but him and Saban are very similar. They understand the minutia of football. They understand the mental side of it, and they really train you for it. As much as they're great coaches on the field, I think they're better coaches off the field with how they speak and how they motivate.
Yeah, we're all huge Tomlin fans on the show. We talk about him all the time. We're giant fans. We love the fact that, this is before you were there, is when he was standing on the field on a kickoff return, just in the way of. We laugh about that all the time.
It was reversed on the camera. He thought he was stepping away. He stepped to the field. That dude knew exactly where he was stepping.
Exactly right. Exactly right. All right. Here's something I'm always curious about. Where's the coolest place in the NFL to play, not counting home games?
Okay. That's a tough one, because I feel like every city is so different. You have some of the really cool indoor stadiums, and every game is different in the stadium too. So, for instance, a Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time is much different than a Thursday night or a Monday night game. So we played, when I was with the Steelers, we played the Vikings back in I think it was 22. It's 22 season, and it was a Thursday night game. And dude, that place was electric. Like, they had the lights going as an indoor stadium, so they could control the atmosphere. The lights were going crazy. The music was going nuts. Like, that place was jumping off the wall. So that was a super cool environment. I'm trying to think of any other real quick. I prefer to play outdoors on grass, just because it's I notice a big difference on my body. However, the indoor stadiums are way crazier for, especially during like night primetime games. And the sound, it has nowhere to go. So it's much louder to play in an indoor environment. I played the Rams at SoFi, and that was a sweet stadium. I think the Steelers fans may have overpowered the Rams fans, because they were forced to go on the silent count. So yeah, dude, I'm trying to think of any others, but those have been cool. The one stadium that I haven't played in that I really want to is Seattle, because I've heard that stadium gets crazy. So I think it'd be cool to play there. I've heard good things about that stadium. I guess technically, since I'm with the Giants, I'm not part of the Steelers anymore. So Heinz Field, or I guess it's Acrisure Stadium now. It used to be Heinz Field. That place is awesome. They took the ketchup bottles down though, and they took the name. So back in the day though, they used to have like the ketchup bottles that would light up and kind of like pour out or whatever. So that was pretty cool to see, but they're gone. But I think Heinz Field does a great job. They got good fans there. So.
JC, I want to thank you for coming on, man. All around good dude. Appreciate you doing this. Follow JC on social media. If you want to see some good food, also, JC posts a lot of good food on social media. So thank you, JC, for jumping on, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity, man. Stay well.
Thanks, JC.
And thanks for the $500, man. Roll Tide.
There you go.
Awesome.
It's always cool talking to NFL players, whether it's guys who are retired or guys currently in the game. It's because obviously they get a different view than everybody else, right? And to see what it's like and firsthand experience. overall, I always say if you have a kid that's, born into this world and you're a sports fan, you can do your kid a huge favor by picking the right teams for your kid. So this is who we follow just to make his life so much easier, right? I mean, you don't want to be a kid that is, stuck as a Padre fan. It's bad, a Mariners fan. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a Steelers fan, an Alabama fan, a Lakers fan, you're going to live a pretty good life. Dodger fan, Yankee fan, whatever. At least you're going to win more than you lose. But if you stick your kid with a bunch of teams that stink, it's awful. So I was dying to ask JC, like, dude, you go from, Alabama and you're with the Steelers and you're with the Giants, another big time team. But I was wanting to know, what's your favorite NBA team and your favorite baseball team? Because he's already off to a really good start.
Yeah, he's from Minnesota, so he's actually born in a city where they struggle in sports. But that's a good point. I think between college and the NFL, he played for the Birmingham team.
Yeah.
The team that's not in the NFL, and I think he went undefeated there too. So JC's won a lot in his life. JC, obviously a good dude. People make fun of me for being a Charger fan. I've been getting that my whole life. Why would you choose the Chargers? I'm from San Diego. There's no other team to choose. And I think it's actually a great time to be a Charger fan. Mario, do you get crap for being a Charger fan?
Like, no, not really. Because it's honestly, like, I wouldn't say being a Charger fan, you've had like a miserable time. Like, obviously, there's been once where you charged it, but like, you've always been competitive. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my lifetime, you've always been like competitive, which like I think you should really ride that one out. But like, there's been times like if you're a like Raider fan, whoa, it got ugly. If you were a Jaguars fan, it's been a tough one, pal. And I feel like there's other ones. Like, I always give crap to my dad. My dad's an IU basketball fan. And all of like us siblings like just dodged it. Like, we just dodged the IU fan and all picked North Carolina. And like, to this day, I'm so proud and so happy that like that happened to all of us, because seeing him cry at every IU basketball game and then they all go, Brad Stevens is coming, is the best.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's true. And the thing is, even though you're younger, than most, that you haven't seen Indiana ever win. Like, I saw Indiana win. I've been alive for 3 Indiana championships. Dude, everybody hated Indiana. They were boring.
Yeah.
They had a coach that was a jerk. He was always inappropriate. There was nothing cool about Indiana. So at least you made a good choice with North Carolina. No matter what, North Carolina still has Michael Jordan. I mean, teams that Michael Jordan beat, like Georgetown with a game-winning shot, they wear the Jordan brand on their jersey. That's ridiculous.
It's the ultimate own. And
Yeah.
I've seen 3 titles since I've been a fan.
That's what I'm saying.
And like
Yeah.
8 Final Fours.
How much better has your
Like,
life been?
Oh, dude, let me tell you a story. When I saw Derrick Rose snap his knee, a part of me died that day. But then as soon as that happened, I was like, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I just looked toward the TV and I go, well, I still have Tyler Hansbrough, who's just raising up a trophy. Well, life's not that bad.
Mario, I got a question.
What's up?
You saw our coach, Jim Harbaugh, at the Pacers game the other day. Did you talk to him?
I did. It was last night. So I went back home last night to the Pacer game. It was Pacers versus the Mavs. And they were like literally like, to get out of my seat, I have to walk by the whole Harbaugh family. So it was literally John, Jack, I think, I don't know, it was a kid, one of their kids. And then good old Jimbo was at the end. So yeah, stopped to him. I shook his hand, said, hey, Mario Herron,
Nice.
come to the Chargers for Odyssey, Bolt City. Pleasure to meet you. Look forward to the year. And he said, yeah, sounds good. Go Chargers. And I was like, all right. And that was pretty much it. But
He didn't believe you, dude. He didn't believe you. He's like, why would this guy in Indiana be hosting the Charger Talk?
Dude,
Yeah.
he was I felt so bad. He was doing whatever he could to dodge people, because like people are obviously like stopping him and stuff. John Harbaugh can work a room better than anyone. He's really, really good at that. I'll give that guy everything. Like, very good. Shake a guy's hand. Incredible. Jim was there to watch the game. Jim was there in and out of there. Like, he was just trying to, and like, it was one of those things where like you can kind of pick up on him, like, hey, like, I don't really want to bother these guys at all. And I had a lot of money on the game too. Shout out Pacers for coming through on that money line play. But yeah, it was fun, man. It was good to see him. And hey, he was wearing a little Chargers coat too. So hey, it was good stuff.
That's good stuff. Hey, again, we're live on YouTube. If you have a question, go ahead and try and get it in. And I'll tell you right now, the reason Josh and Mario read them all, I can't see anything. I have one that I can see kind of on the right side saying, guys, love the show. Question, if we could trade Derwin James for a second-round pick, would you guys do it? I tell you what, I was all in favor of not knowing what Derwin was until this week. It came out that Derwin James has sat down with the Chargers' new coaching staff, and the Chargers' new coaching staff put all the blame on the old coaching staff, not on Derwin James for having a bad year. So they just asked him to do way too much. And it's one of those things that we've thought for years that Derwin James has been asked way too much. The deal is I always thought Derwin James could handle it. When you watch Derwin James in person, you're like, man, maybe this guy should be a linebacker. You know, maybe he's even out of position, that he's that good and seems to have such instinct on knowing what's going to happen. But he's one of those guys on this roster that I don't want to see traded right now. Like, I kind of want to see what Derwin James has. I'm glad that story came out. Usually I'm not a big fan of pointing fingers at guys that aren't there any longer. But I think that really offered a huge explanation of what's going on with the Chargers, what happened to Derwin James, and how did he fall off so fast? Because as we mentioned in the last show, when the NFL comes out with their top 100 list, I don't think Derwin even makes the top 100 this year.
Yeah. So the question is, would you trade him for a second first-round pick?
Oh, is that what it says? Sorry.
Yeah, you can't. I know you can't read. You said you can't, so I'll give you a break on that.
I can't read. I can't see.
Yeah, you can read. You just can't see. You're right. I'm not going to trade Derwin James. He is the guy I'm most excited to see play on defense, right? If you're a Chargers fan, how are you not excited to see see Derwin James play after getting rid of Brandon Staley? Dave just said it right there. They asked Derwin James to do way too much. I understand that he hasn't been the same since his injury, but he also hasn't played under a good defensive coach, right? Let's give Jesse Minter and Derwin James some time together to see what he can do. Because what if Derwin James returns to form and he's the best safety in the NFL? Then we got a first-round pick. The first-round pick could be great. The first-round pick could be Larry English. We don't know who the first-round pick is. So I think Derwin James's risk, he's worth keeping because the reward outweighs the risk.
I agree with you, and I think this is the system that's going to make him just really, really go off, right? Like you guys both mentioned how he didn't do well in the Staley system. I think the Staley system asked too much of him. We even remember 2 years ago when he was like, look, it's a lot for me just to handle the play calling. And they're like, all right, like the play calling is going to go to Tranquil instead. I think it's going to be a bounce back year for Derwin James. And similar to you guys, I want to see him go because I think he's going to just really go off in this system. And it's been repeated. He's a leader in that locker room. I think in going into this new system we're heading into, we need that leader in there. And he's too young for me. He's too young to be let go, I think, right now. I want to see what he does in this new Harbaugh era. And I don't want to see him anywhere else. I think there's other things we can do right now to kind of get money off the books and get a little more flexibility with that, or even through the draft. And, right now it was reported last week, guys, that there's a new cap number for this, the NFL. And now that puts the Chargers, I believe, over 21.1 mil over the cap, just some slight 21 million. That's what we get paid per episode. So I think there's other ways we can move around the salary and kind of deal with that. I think by doing that during James just makes sense. I will say, Dave, I think maybe cutting Kendricks is not a bad idea. I mean, that frees up 6.5 mil right there for the Chargers. I think that might be a smarter move.
Okay, I'm glad you jumped into the salary cap because that is the big story. All right, with what's happening on with the salary cap in the NFL and where the Chargers were at. We read the list of the teams that were in trouble on the last show and where it put the Chargers. And the Chargers, I think, were number 3 as far as teams that were in trouble with the cap. Looking at it, we were saying, guys, you're gonna have to dump Bosa, you're gonna have to dump Mack, you're gonna have to dump Williams. We're sitting there going through all the guys. Kendricks is one of those guys that you show him the door. Okay, it's $6 million, and I know in pro sports that doesn't seem like a lot of money. You create that space because you can use that money somewhere else. At the same time, the salary cap increase, the first thing to my mind, you guys tell me if I'm crazy, I go, we can keep Mike Williams. For me, I'm going that's us keeping Mike Williams, and at the same time, you cut Bosa, all of a sudden you're going in the right direction. Am I wrong?
See, Mario thinks you're wrong. So before I talk, I want to hear what Mario has to say.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I think you're wrong because if you cut or, Trent Williams, whatever you want to do, you free up 20 mil. And that's more than Bosa. It's more than Mack, not as much as Allen. Allen's 23.1. So that's your second. So
would you rather have Bosa or Williams?
Bosa.
No.
I want
to. Damn it, Mario.
You cut 20 mil. 20 mil off. That's 2 more. You cut Kendricks, you're chilling, you're sitting kind of pretty. I'd rather do that than give up a chance to see with an actually good defensive head coach what Mack and Bosa can be with Thule behind them.
Did you not watch Quentin Johnston play last season?
Yeah, how can you afford to lose another wide receiver?
We have the 5th pick. We can get Bowers.
He's a
Bowers
tight end.
replaces that.
You're a big Josh
No.
Palmer guy?
Yeah, what just happened here?
Okay.
Bosa doesn't do anything.
Bosa did not play that bad this year. Bosa
He was
did not play
awful.
that bad.
Played in 6 games.
But I think
there were 17 of them.
how many games did Mike Williams play? The best
3.
What?
But when he's healthy, at least he does something. Bosa doesn't do anything ever.
Oh, he does something. How many games? How many times have we?
Bosa hasn't done anything in 3 years.
Look at the last comment, Mario. I want you to take a peek at that last comment right there from our boy Cobain.
Okay.
What does that say?
Cobain, good for you. That's a very good point. But also, if you guys are preaching,
read it out loud because the people on the Odyssey
read it out
have no
loud.
idea what the hell you're talking about.
All right, bro.
No, I can't see.
Bro doesn't realize we're one Keenan injury away from disaster. So I'm going off for a theory that we take Bowers 5th or we take a receiver 5th. That puts a second receiver for us right there. Let's say that Johnston takes a little bit of a step. Okay, we're fine there. We're also depending a lot on the run game that they've preached all freaking year. Run game. Or not all year, but all offseason so far. So we're probably going to get a running back. We're probably going to improve our own line a little bit. So that helps us there. And let's say we get a Bowers, right? Let's say we get a Bowers. Look at some of the other top tight ends in the league. I know it's the Chiefs, but the Chiefs 2 receiver. Who is it? Who's their 1 receiver? Really, if we're being honest, it's Kelsey. You look at the Ravens. Who's their 2 receiver? Is it really Odell? Is it really? No, it's really Mark Andrews. So I look at that and go, all right, we can take Keenan. He can keep up his production. Our 2 will realistically be Bowers, and that's fine. You can win with that. That is fine. You can get past all that. I look at what Bosa could be with Harbaugh, with a new defensive mind that's proven to be a lot more successful than Staley's ass, with Mac, with Tully behind him. That could be pretty dangerous. In the 20 mil, which is more than 14, do the math, ladies and gentlemen. I think that could be something better.
All right, first off, the guy that keeps asking about Xander Horvath, why are you so into a fullback? Who cares? Who cares? You're probably an awesome human being. We have bigger fish to fry. Come on, let's keep our eyes on the prize here. Mike Williams, to me, is a better culture guy, Mario. Joey Bosa is a cancer in the locker room. Mike Williams is a guy that seems like he's all about winning in the team. And when he plays, his production, to me, outweighs Joey Bosa's by at least 2 times. Yeah, he barely played last year. That's the big knock on him and Joey Bosa, obviously. But when he plays, he produces at a higher clip than Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa's been with the team for so long, Mario. He hasn't lived up to it. I'd kick him to the curb. And also, if this cap increase didn't happen, I would have penciled in Mike Williams to the Panthers. He's a Carolina guy. I thought he's going to go to the Panthers, but now I think we can keep him.
Anyway, that's where I'm at. Okay. Well, you know where I'm at on Bosa. I mean, I'm not a Bosa fan. I haven't been a Bosa fan in a long time. I think when we talk about Harbaugh coming in and culture, I think the culture right now, Joey Bosa shouldn't be part of it. I've watched it up close, man. I've been in those Charger locker rooms for years. He's always complaining, man. He guy is never happy. And then he's not with his teammates, not on the sideline. He's up top, serial killer. He's killing a bullet serial. I mean, he's a freak, dude. I'm just not a fan. Throwing his helmet in playoff games, comes back when the game's important, pulls himself at a 3rd and long all the time when this is the chance to get a sack. I'm not a Bosa guy. Everybody knows it. I know it looks like I hate the guy. I don't hate the guy. I just like good football players and guys that like to be out there, and I just don't see it in him. That's just me.
No, I completely agree with you on that. And I always go back to the comment last year. It was like during the offseason, they're like, why are you here for the workouts? And he goes, oh, because the coaches told me to. And you're like, all right, well, that's, you can think that, but let's give a better answer to the media. Like that, if you said that in New York or Chicago media, you're going to get ruined for 2 more months. But no, here's the thing. Like, I love Mike Williams. I agree with you guys. He's a hell of a talent. I just look at the 20 mil that you cut by letting him go. I think that's huge. And that's what I think, okay, that could really be something. And I just, if they go, so they have to do this by March 13th. If they go cut Williams, I think there's a 99% chance they draft a receiver or tight end with that 5th pick. If they don't, and let's say they move Bosa, then I think then like Joe Alt's gonna get drafted by the Chargers. Like I think that's the kind of thing that's gonna happen. But I don't know. We'll see. I think Eric Kendricks is the one that's like the 6.5 you can easily clear up by him getting gone. I think it's the one that's really, really gonna happen. But I don't know. Hey, we'll see. Keenan Allen's officially back though. I think we all agree on that. And Matt.
Good. It's always health
Yeah.
with Keenan. I mean, he's old and it's always health. Can he stay healthy?
Let me ask you a
When he's
question,
healthy, he's
Mario.
great.
So let's go back to what you just said. If they were to get rid of Mike Williams, I think it's almost a guarantee they go Malik Neighbors. Unless you're that comfortable with Josh Palmer being the number 2. I like Josh Palmer. I know I just talked crap a second ago. He's a 2.5. He's not a number 3 receiver. He's not a number 2 receiver. He's a 2.5. I think Malik Neighbors is a 1. That he's really freaking good. If they get rid of Mike Williams, do you think it's a lock that they get Malik Neighbors?
I think it's a lock to its Neighbors or Bowers. I think that's an absolute lock. Like it's one of the two. Like I think it's a lock, and they have to make that move because, like you said, Palmer's great. Like Palmer's not great. He's a good receiver, very good receiver. And we talked about this before with Gerald Everett. But I think you'd be asking a lot of him to fill a Mike Williams role. Like that is asking a lot. And when you ask a lot of a player that's not built for that, they then don't look very good. And then you're like, all right, it's a good player. You put him in a role that's not good for him to succeed. And you see that a lot in the NBA with these crappier teams. But I think that's the unfair thing that would happen to him. What do you think here, Dave? Do you think if that move's made, do you think it's 100% receiver, tight end, 5th pick, come see us in LA?
Okay, so I'm looking at these mock drafts, and I think it was Field Yates I saw yesterday on the scroll, and he has Joe Alt going 5, the lineman, and you looked back and you're going, okay, he lists like 12 teams. I always hate when they cut it off, especially with your teams like the next one, but they cut it off like at 12, and Bowers isn't in the top 12. And I'm looking at some of the other ones, and some of the other guys don't have Bowers in the top 8. If that's the case, then that maybe does give you that opportunity to trade back. My thing is, how far can you trade back and then take a chance of missing your pick? It's only that team that goes. I'm like Josh right now. He's shaking the head going, you're
be careful.
Really playing with fire, because there are teams that understand the importance of a Kelsey and a Mark Andrews that all of a sudden trade up and they take the guy you thought you had a chance to get. And guess what? There's not another one coming next year. We go, well, we'll fix that problem down the road. This is basically a once-in-a-generation tight end that you have a chance to get. I wouldn't play around with it. I literally would grab Bowers at number 5. I just wouldn't take a chance. I mean, here you go. I'm going to scare the hell out of you right now. We all know that Travis Kelce is going to be 35 next year. What if the Chiefs are that team that jumped up and stole him because you traded back thinking you could get him at 12? And the Chiefs are the ones that make that move. And you're going, oh, my God, they just found their new Travis Kelce. We're throwing everything in the house, right? We're freaking out. I wouldn't mess around. He'd be my guy. And nothing against Joe Alt, who I'm sure is going to be great, because it's usually those first-round offensive linemen don't disappoint. But, man, at the same time, this guy – there's a Joe Alt coming next year in the draft. I promise you.
Yes.
There's not a Brock Bowers coming in the draft this next year, or maybe the next 5 years, 6 years.
There's a Joe Alt in every draft. There's not a Brock Bowers in drafts very often. If the Chiefs trade up and get Brock Bowers, I'm going to start throwing my poop like a monkey. I will lose my mind. This is my perfect scenario. My girlfriend looks at me in disgust as I say that.
I know. I'm just thinking, you're getting married this year. Wait till she finds out you're throwing poop against the wall.
That's how much I care about the Chargers. Here's my perfect scenario. Okay, Mario.
Yes.
Chargers trade back on the 5th pick to within the top 12. They get Brock Bowers, and they get another pick. With that other pick, they address another need like cornerback or something, okay? They cut Kendricks, we don't need Kendricks. We use that.
Go ahead. Let him go to the Ravens and become all pro. That's what they all do. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. We use that $6 million to get Everett back. Now we have the double tight end set. Gerald Everett is a backup tight end. He's a good player. He is a backup tight end. That's just what he is. Like you just said, he's a backup. So we get Gerald Everett and we get Bowers as a double tight end set, and we get another pick to address a need like cornerback in the first round. And then you can trade Joey Bosa and free up the cap space. I do not want Joey Bosa. Bad locker room guy. There's a report floating around Twitter today that the Bears are interested in trading for Joey Bosa. If we could get another pick through the Bears, I'm all for it.
Oh. But just don't make me deal with him again. Don't make me deal with this guy again. It's a one-time thing, Bose. You don't get 2. You don't get two with the Heron family. So if that happens, then that's actually kind of depressing. If I'm going to be completely honest, it's depressing. I just moved my mic closer, and I have no idea why I did that, but that's just because that's depression hitting in. The Bears can't afford him. They definitely can't afford him, and they are looking for another pass rusher. Whether they get that in the draft or do that trade, I don't think we'll see what happens. I don't mind that move, Josh. I really don't, because cornerback, Dave, is a huge spot they really got to figure out. Because we've mentioned it once, we'll mention it over and over again. They're in a division with Mahomes, and they're in a division with Devontae Adams, and that's 2 times a year you got those guys. And the corner spot was such a liability this past year, from J.C. Jackson being at an absolute zero to Michael Davis holding on every single play and just making dumbfounded mistakes. And J.C. Jackson, let's all remember week 1 of when he was just embarrassing to society. It's definitely something I think that's smart and could be a good move. And, I think the cornerback's still kind of like the sexy pick there, Dave. Like it's still sexy.
It's always. I mean, look, to win in the NFL, right? You have to have the corners and you have to have your offensive line, right? I mean, you got to win that way. I understand that, but right now they have so many holes. So again, I look at it as what can I do through the draft this year compared to the draft next year. By the way, as Charlie Sinclair wrote out, I don't know if you guys follow on Twitter, big Charger fan. Point out something today, a couple hours ago, where he said, look, if the Chargers are smart right now with the new structure of the salary cap and going into next year, the Chargers could have like $112 million to work with. Like, if they figure this out and you have a smart front office, they could be in a really good situation. My point is, and I see people, in the comments, not a fan of Brock Bowers at number 5, whether it's money or someone else you can get. You need that tight end. You need the offensive line. You need the corners. I'm a fan of spending money through free agency on defense. I just rather have a really smart defensive team out there right now. And if you can find some of these corners, which will be available, this year, and you can afford them, I'd go out and I'd fix my defense through free agency, not through the draft.
You fix a defense through free agency. That's the number one thing we've caught heat for in the comments on YouTube. You guys talk about the draft for offense. I'm with you.
The Bills used to do it. The Colts used to do it. And guess what? They were in the playoffs all the time.
100%. I think Chargers got to go offense at the first pick. And people keep saying also that the Chargers have drafted offense. How has that worked out? I think it's worked out pretty well, honestly. Rashawn Slater's great. Justin Herbert's great. Quentin Johnston, not great. But hey, given time, I guess. Not great. But for the most part, Chargers have done well with the offensive picks in the first round. So let's see. Zion Johnson, bounce back here, bud. Come on, let's get it back on track. Make me look not dumb.
Okay, there's a question here too by is it Alana? Because I can't see. But anyway,
Alana
sorry.
Moore.
Okay, Alana says, do you think Ekeler is leaving for sure? Adam Schefter reported an hour before we went on there saying that the Chargers are going to let Austin Ekeler test free agency, just like we predicted on the show, not patting ourselves on the back, but Austin Ekeler is about done in this league. Austin Ekeler, in my opinion, will sign on with another team for 2024, and in 2025, he will not be employed in the NFL. It's over. The legs are out. It's over for Austin Ekeler, and you move on. Talked to a Raider fan this week who's freaking out, afraid that Josh Jacobs is going to end up with the Chargers. Because, when Josh Jacobs is focused, he's a very good player. I think the guys on this show all believe the Chargers are going to fix the running back situation in the draft, and not through a free agent running back like obviously a Josh Jacobs or a Saquon Barkley.
Mario, you need to say something.
No, I'm not a fan of the I've seen that a couple times of let's go get Josh Jacobs. I'm just all set. Like you said in the end, Dave, I just want a rookie running back. There, you can do so much with a rookie running back. It's so kind to your wallet on it too. They're young, they not injury prone. Like Josh Jacobs, hell of a player, but there's a lot of miles on him. He could get very much injured. He carried their offense at one point 2 seasons ago. I just would rather not pay whatever it would be to get Jacobs when you can go get someone really, really young, more explosive in the draft. I just think it's just such a smarter route to go for the Chargers. Pending, if the Chargers had all the cap in the world, if they just had
money,
go
get them. If you can afford them, go ahead and go get them. But you can't afford them.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well. Or if they're hey, we'll take a really friendly contract because we don't want to play for Harbaugh or anything like that. Yeah. But that's also why I think, Josh, that Eckler's just as good as gone. I think his bags are already packed in LA, and I think he's off to somewhere else.
The whole Austin Ekeler testing the waters thing is like, okay, like go test the waters. We're not going to be out there with you. My brother used to talk about like girls dating. He'd say, you can't play hard to get when you're hard to want. And that's how I feel about Austin Ekeler.
That's a good line.
That's a great line. So Austin Ekeler being like, I'm leaving, I'm walking out the door. It's like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
dude, thank you for your service, but your future is not going to be with the Chargers. Mario, my question to you, because the Chargers, I think, are going to have to address one of these positions in the free agent market: cornerback, running back, receiver. Which one of those three are they most likely to dip into the free agent pool?
So I think corner, because sometimes you can find some good value at that spot in free agency, and you can kind of get a guy that you don't have to sign for a lot of money that can just explode in the right spot, right? Xavier Howard just got cut by the Dolphins. I think maybe he could do a lot better with the Chargers. Obviously, like L'Jarius Sneed is a free agent for the Chiefs, and like Jalen Johnson, who I keep repeatedly talking about, they both are. They're way too expensive. I don't think the Chargers would be able to afford them. But like Kenny Moore with the Colts had like his time where he was really, really good for the Colts, and he hasn't played great lately. But like, what if you get him right in the same system and he's not bad? I think that could be a good option. You also have Kendall Fuller, like maybe he's a good option. You have Gilmore, who like old, but like a lot of experience, and he has games where he doesn't play that bad. He's a pretty strong corner, veteran in the locker room as well. So I think there's little things you can kind of find in free agency. You're like, all right, we just get like a quick 1 year on this guy, and then maybe next year we draft a corner, and then he can just kind of hold the fort down in this spot. And I think corner is that position you kind of like look forward and go to, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many holes there. I'll stand by what I said in the last show, is that they're going to go offense in the first round, and it's because Jim Harbaugh owns it to Justin Herbert to establish the relationship. I'm going to protect you, one, or I'm going to give you options to get the ball to the guys that are talented out there. This Quentin Johnston thing, as frustrated as we are with him and not producing last year, it feels like a throwaway pick. Like, basically you lost your first-round pick. There's nothing that's on Quentin Johnston. I'm going to go, he's going to come back a better player. I just don't believe it. I think we're looking at Buster Davis is what I think we're looking at. If look, you're going to keep him around for probably 3 years and just realize we just got to cut ties. And the scariest part about him was, why couldn't he learn the playbook last year? Is it because is he lazy, or is he just not that smart? I don't think this guy's lazy from everything you hear. It sounds like he puts the work in. He just isn't as talented as they thought he was. He has trouble catching the ball. He has trouble catching the ball the proper way away from his body. And at the same time, when he got called out on national TV by Tony Romo for not knowing the playbook, very scary, which immediately raises why you would have Josh Palmer playing in front of him. Guarantee you, the Chargers, when they drafted Quentin Johnston, thought they're a year away from cutting ties with Josh Palmer. And now here they are. They're looking at Josh Palmer to kind of save the day because they need him.
Who would you rather has a bounce back year, Quentin Johnston or Derwin James?
Derwin James.
I wish they both.
What if Quentin Johnston is supposed to be that big time receiver? You wouldn't want that?
Dude, you have nothing on the back end of your defense. Like, to me, Derwin James, when he's playing right, is playing like two defensive players at the same time. Number one, he communicates extremely well with everyone telling him what's about to happen. Two is he's always in the right place.
All right, we got a question. Right, after Mario answers this, we have a uniform question. Dave loves uniforms. Go, Mario.
I do.
I think also, too, I'll mention it throughout this offseason. With what Greg Roman's going to want to do in this offense, I don't see multiple receivers having like this boom bust year. I think it's going to be like Keenan Allen has a really good year. Quentin Johnston's going to get some catches, just not a lot. Derwin James, I think it's really going to explode on the scene. And maybe Johnston becomes bigger and like reverses. And, maybe he's used like a Cordell Patterson way. That could be his route. But I don't see, just with how they're going to run the offense of what they've told us of what they want to do in the offense, I don't think that screams, Quentin Johnston's going to have a big year. I think that screams, hey, when you get the ball, try to do your best.
All right, the question for Dave. I'm directing it towards Dave because he's a big-time uniform guy. What do you guys freak. Yeah. Just ask him about the new baseball uniforms. He'll love to talk to you about
I hate them. Yeah.
What do you guys think about changing the – okay, hold on. What do you guys think about changing the colors of the unis? The powder blues make us look soft. Go back to the navy blue and white.
Okay, I'll be honest with you on this one. Number one, I always thought the Chargers always had pretty good uniforms, no matter what generation it was. I always liked the Charger uniforms. It was one of the reasons I followed this team as a kid. I thought it was cool. I will tell you this. Call me crazy. Two shots on this. When the Chargers are wearing the white pants with the powder blue uniforms, every time I go, God dang, those uniforms are great. Like every time it like shocks me. Like it's the first time I saw them. I'm like, this is unbelievable how great these uniforms are. And when you see them in person, you think the same thing. That being said, it doesn't matter what I think. You know who hates the powder blue uniforms? Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has made it clear he likes the Navy. He does not like the powder blue. I think for the same reason. Maybe it looks soft. But Mario just said it. We're all North Carolina fans. They wear the powder blue too, right? What do they say in Carolina? If God isn't a Tar Heels fan, why is the sky Carolina blue? I love the powder blue uniforms. I keep them.
Dude, it's the prettiest color in the whole world. It's Carolina blue. I don't call that baby blue. It's
Dodger
Carolina
blue.
Blue.
Is pretty nice, but yes.
Yeah, no one asked you. But yeah, Carolina blue is the prettiest and it's the best. But I will say it looks better on a basketball floor than it does on a football field. But I do like the jerseys though.
All right, Josh, you got to get a couple of other ones on there.
Yeah, I got you. So next question is, would you guys draft Jackson Powers Johnson, Oregon center? What are your guys' thoughts on trading back for a late first for him? First off, can we think of any other athlete with 3 last names? Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, usually
hell of a job there by his parents.
Killers. Yeah.
Good for
if
him.
we can get, yeah.
By the way, that question's asked by the Oregon
question.
Stacker. I see the Oregon Stacker's been all over this today, so appreciate it.
Eddie Ramirez was the one before that. Shout out to both those guys. I'd kiss you on the mouth if I could.
Thanks, Mario. So, would I draft a center? Yeah, I would draft a center. Where does center fall in our list of needs? Second or third? I mean, getting a center is a big deal. Getting a right tackle right now, I think, is a bigger deal. Getting a cornerback is a really big deal. And getting a receiver or tight end is a really big deal. So I think center falls into second, third, maybe fourth biggest need.
Sorry, Dave. Cody Whitehair, name to watch. Free agent. He just got cut by the Bears. He could be a good guy to get kind of a rental fill in. Pretty strong center guard for the Bears. Played very, very well for him. I'm pretty sure has a Pro Bowl selection in there too. I would want him in free agency just to sign veteran contract, get him in there. I think he'd be a good spot to fill for that. And then you can address other things in the draft.
All right. First of all, Oregon Stacker, appreciate again that you stepped up. I will say this. I used to always say all the time, stay away from Oregon offensive linemen. Was never a fan during all those years, like when Mariota had them. But that's changed. The Oregon offensive linemen have done a great job the last few years in the NFL. At the same time, center is one of those positions where until you don't have one, you realize what a hole it is. I mean, look what happened to us last year, right? As soon as our center all of a sudden is gone, it was a disaster. It was bad for everybody involved, especially Justin Herbert. But the whole offensive line fell apart. You don't see often that a center will be taken in the first round. If you do, usually other GMs think your GM is overmatched and crazy. The only guy screaming for a center in the first round would be Nick Hardwick. Now that he's in the room, you got to get this guy. You got to get this guy. You got to get this guy. Shut up. Go get another pretzel. We'll tell you who we got. And then at the same time, I agree with Josh. Second, third, fourth round, I grab my center there, or through free agency, the way Mario said it.
You crapped on the Oregon O-line. Would just like to point out Kyle Long was pretty good.
No.
Oh,
I used to.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't anymore. Now I'm all in favor of it, but I used to.
Okay, good. Auditory processing kicked in there. Caught one word.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt something because you didn't show up on the show the way I was hoping you'd show up. Mario, a couple days ago, had straight dreadlocks.
Yes.
Not dreadlocks.
Yes,
It was dreadlocks you had, right?
Cornrows.
Number one.
Yeah.
Cornrows. That's what I was looking for. Cornrows. Number one, how do you not bring it to the show today? How did you take it out? How long did it take to do it? And what's the story? I'm so disappointed that you are not wearing cornrows right now.
So I lost the bet on Bet for the Cycle presented by BetMGM. That's every
Did you
Saturday
ever
at
win a
4
bet?
PM.
Like,
Cody Decker, Rob Brown.
Dude,
Yeah.
Dude, you lose all these bets.
No, they owe me like 3 different things that we just haven't been able to do yet. So that's the part that
all of them.
gets.
All of them.
I'm called a trooper.
Yeah, you
No.
are.
So Yeah, so like whatever, Los Angeles. So I was like, all right, got it. It took an hour and a half to get on Friday to do. So went got on Friday. Slept with them, and I was like, all right, like look kind of good. If I'm gonna be honest with you, shout out Becky Wilson. If you're in the Chicago area and you want your hair to get cornrows or braided or anything like that, go to her because she's freaking awesome. And it was pretty good. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. I was doing work like the whole time I was doing it. I didn't realize all the stuff they put in your hair for it to keep it in. I didn't realize that part. Had it Friday and Saturday, and the funny part about I went out with them too, which was like also kind of tough.
Oh my God.
Yes.
But the funniest part about it was like I'd be walking in Chicago and people would like be like looking at me and I'd be like, "What's this guy's problem?" And then I would like, I'm the problem. I have cornrows in my head. They're probably like, what the hell's going on here? But I got stopped a lot and people were like, "Oh, like your hair looks good." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Got hit on by a homeless person during it. All right, too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I guess shout out to them. Yeah, I had that going for me. So I can always go back to that. But then on Sunday, I did a show Sunday morning, a 5-star weekend. It's also presented by BetMGM. That's on the BetQL network from 9 to noon Eastern with Sean Marash and Pat Boyle, and produced by yours truly. And I did it, and then at the end of it, I was like, dude, I gotta take him out because I'm going to the Pacers game with my dad and my brother.
You should have kept it with your dad. That's why you should have kept it.
I couldn't keep it. I couldn't keep it with my dad, but my dad loved it.
He made Harbaugh that way.
Yeah,
I was thinking the exact same thing. So like. I was thinking the exact same thing if I met the Harbaugh like that, and he'd be like, "What is going on?" God, that would have been good content. The funny part is if you go to like the Pacers Instagram and Twitter when they post a picture of the Harbaughs, I'm in the photo. Like I'm like leaned in, and you like see my hair. And so like one of my buddies like texted me in like a group chat. I was like, "Oh, like just saw Heron with the Harbaughs," and someone goes, "I couldn't find him." Like everyone's like, "I couldn't find you forever because I was looking for the cornrows." And then I see you in there, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny." But yeah, I had to take him out. I was like, I couldn't do it anymore because every time you laugh or smile, it gave me a headache because it was like really tight, like on the sides.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
You're a trooper.
but looked good. I thought I would look uglier. It looked bad.
Dude, it didn't look good. It didn't. I don't know what the hell you're talking. Allen Iverson's like, take him out. What are you doing? It didn't look good. You know it didn't. Otherwise, it'd still be in.
What?
It'd still be in. It'd still be in if you thought it really looked good.
I mean, no, I just like it was just weird to have him in and like just starting to hurt my head, and that's why I took him out.
I showed everybody.
One more comment.
Just,
we have one more comment from Mark McGowan. It says, "Think the Chargers need to build around Joey Bosa and maybe trade Herbert. Seek help, Mark."
Yeah, nobody likes a smart ass.
Yeah, you have to be a Chiefs fan or something. Seek help. Reach out to family and friends. Get the help you need.
Thanks for paying attention, Mark.
I just like how Mark went for it. I like that.
He did. He completely did. Because watch this. Completely. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I'm going to leave that one alone, Alana.
Okay, and all right. Let the fans know when were we back, Dave?
All right, we're going to be back on Wednesday. This week it's Wednesday. Again, I apologize to everybody. I completely messed up. I meant when I was wrong. It took me about 3 days to realize I completely stepped in it and called Josh in a panic. But I apologize. It's high school baseball season. Happened to play this week on Tuesday and Thursday, so I messed that up. We're going to be back on Wednesday this week. But after that, the following week, we'll be back on that regular schedule. We'll be okay. All right. So I apologize to you two guys as well for making you rush. And JC was great to sit there and adjust his schedule as well for us. So that's all on me. So if you're listening to the show again through the Bolt City podcast with the Odyssey app, man, thank you so much. The people at Odyssey paying attention, they appreciate it as well. And again, through YouTube, this is a lot of fun getting a chance to see the comments come in. I'm sorry I can't see, and I don't like the way I look on camera with glasses on, so that's why I'm not paying attention. So I got Josh and Mario with their 4 good eyes to sit there and tell us what's happening. We'll talk more about the draft all the way through and the way these things break down. Salary cap news was really good news for the Chargers. They needed a bailout, and they got it right there. We'll figure out which guys won't be part of this team. Big news coming, guys, in the next week, though, right? We're going to figure out stuff from the combine. We're going to figure out some rumors, which guys might not be with teams. Most importantly, which guys might not be with teams with other teams that the Chargers could possibly grab. And we'll talk about all those options for the Bolts leading forward. So for Mario Heron, Josh Palais, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you on Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific time.
Love you.